Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to Warships with Admiral Jingles. And I have an epic battle for you today in this Tier 11 domination battle here on the Crash Zone Alpha map. The stars of today's show, for there are 3 of them, are a division from what is apparently the North American server's #1 clan, Yeezy, led by Floridian Tyrant here, in the French Tier 10 destroyer, the Marceau. Oh, I apologise initially and ask you to bear with the unusual field of view angle that Floridian Tyrant is using here. She's done it for enhanced situational awareness. You get used to it after a minute or two, trust me. Although it can be a little disorientating at first. The division isn't just her and the Marceau, of course. She's accompanied in the aircraft carrier, the von Richthofen, by Giga Chad CV. You can see his aircraft already scouting up ahead. And in the Condor, the French Tier 11 supercruiser, we have the college dropout. So this initial manoeuvre has clearly been planned. The destroyer that Florida is sailing, the Marceau, it's known for a couple of things. 1, it's got horrible stealth. 2, it's got horrible stealth and it doesn't have a smokescreen generator. But 3, it is very, very fast. She's actually pulling 54 knots here. And so, while I would not normally recommend to most players to try to sneak an early cap in something as horribly unstealthy as the Marceau, it is fast enough that if you're prepared to take a bit of a risk, you can often get there well ahead of any of the other enemy destroyers, particularly if you have a friendly aircraft carrier clearing the way ahead of you and scaring any other destroyers off at the risk of being spotted. And so that's what they're doing here, and it appears to be working quite well. Another 30 seconds, and that's when she gets spotted. Damn it. Now, most people's reactions under these circumstances would be to bottle it, go full throttle, and just get the hell out of the cap circle. And honestly, for most people, that would be a wise decision. But Florida tries, and almost succeeds, only getting reset with 14 seconds to go, at simply avoiding fire and juking the throttle. It was very optimistic, but she almost pulled it off. And now that she has been forced out of the cap circle, she takes the opportunity to make the enemy Lucian over there regret its temerity in out-spotting her. Now, this isn't something I would really recommend to most players, because ideally you want to go unspotted as quickly as possible so you can resume the business of capping. And that obviously involves not shooting under most circumstances. But, well, Floridian Tyrant here and the other members of Yeezy are not most players. This clan actually has a 60% average win rating, and they have 2 members with a 76% average win rating, which is crazy good. And you can go undetected by not shooting, or you can go undetected by chasing off the thing that's spotting you, which is what Florida elected to do. Unfortunately, the Lucian left a couple of parting presents, and that one torpedo was basically unavoidable. It got spotted so late there was no way to turn in order to avoid it, because turning would have just ensured that the torpedo hit the arse end of the ship rather than taking her on the bows. So that was unfortunate, and the cheeky little bugger's back. And again, you'd expect, under most circumstances, after just taking a torpedo for most of your health, that you would want to avoid getting into gunfights. But again, with the Condor backing her up, and actually being the one to claim the kill, the Lucian was the only one within spotting range. So once the Lucian had been neutralised, double benefit. 1, you've just taken care of an enemy destroyer, and 2, you're no longer spotted, and you can continue taking this cap circle. And with just 5 seconds to go, that is exactly what they're going to do. It's unfortunate that it costs Florida more than half of her health, but now that she's just taken a cap circle, Captain perks kick in. Increased chances of setting fire with the guns, and increased chances of causing flooding with the torpedoes. And it is a testament, by the way, to just how good Florida has been at avoiding fire, that almost all of the damage she sustained was from that one torpedo. Despite being continuously under fire for most of this battle so far, she actually managed to dodge most of those shots simply by working the throttle. She's going to have to be careful now, though. Although that doesn't mean not putting herself into dangerous situations. It's just, well, with only 10,000 hit points left, putting yourself into dangerous situations is fine, as long as you have a plan for getting out of that dangerous situation if it turns out to be more than you can handle. Floridian Tyrant, by the way, has a current overall win rating of just short of 60%. But the thing is, when you first start, you don't really know what you're doing. You tend to have a fairly bad or at best average win rating, and it takes time, once you get good, to start dragging that overall win rating up. Over the last 21 days, over 145 battles, she's managed an almost 90% win rating. So when you see her opening fire on a tier 10 light cruiser while within shooting range of at least 2 of their enemy ships, while sailing a destroyer that has slightly more than 10,000 hit points remaining, trust me, there's a method to the madness. She knows how to avoid fire in the Marceau. She could maybe use a little practice at avoiding torpedoes. But look at just how many of these shots are hitting. And there it is. That's the first hit that she sustained in that entire engagement. And remember, always have an exit strategy. Right as the Yodo scored its first hit, she went out of detection range. It was unfortunate that she then went into detection range of something else. I suspect the enemy Tromp, who is in that direction and just went undetected itself, not the source of that smoke screen. It's moving too quickly. Yeah, there it is, Venezia. High-speed smoke, and also the source of the semi-armor piercing shells that just came out of the smoke screen. The enemy Tromp is in that direction, however. So, torpedoes away. Let's take cover behind this island, in case the Tromp starts getting adventurous. Scores are, well, team have just lost an Edgar, which is not good. An Edgar's an extremely powerful cruiser. But the team have 3 of the 4 cap circles, and therefore they're currently enjoying a pretty good points advantage. And they've just pulled back another kill, with the friendly Libertad secondaries finishing off the Yodo that Florida trolled into shooting at her. And there's the enemy carrier spotted. Things are getting better and better. Kills are even, 200-point lead, 3 of the 4 cap circles. What could possibly go wrong? Well, things are going to go wrong really fast for the enemy carrier, who's probably not going to survive the next 5 seconds. Yep, carrier dead. That's going to be a relief for everyone, particularly destroyers on low health. And that's an extra kill. So they're now 1 kill up. They have a clear 300-point advantage, and with a 2 cap circle lead, that points advantage is only going to continue getting better. And this is where things kind of start going wrong. Starting with the team losing their Libertad, and Florida starts thinking about maybe taking some shots at the Annapolis over there, which would have been an extremely brave move for me. Even more so now that a Jacksonville has just turned up. Those things are basically designed for killing destroyers. But she's made a sterner stuff. I mean, this is a risk, especially going up against the Jacksonville, but she has an exit strategy, just in case things start going wrong. Behind the island, out of line of sight, no longer detected. The team lose their Smolensk. Things are far from disastrous though, despite the loss. The Jacksonville over there has taken a beating in return for shooting at her. Okay, they don't have the kill advantage anymore, but it's only a difference of 1 kill, and they just lost the Schlieffen as well, so the points advantage isn't looking so great. But they still have 3 of the 4 cap circles. So they're still pulling in 3 times as many points per second as the enemy team are, despite the kill difference, as long as they can hold on to those 3 cap circles. But that's the trick, isn't it? Because when your team is overall down 2 kills, that becomes increasingly difficult to do, because the enemy team have got more ships to muster in 1 point, what the Germans call Schwerpunkt, the tip of the spear. Mass everything in 1 point and push on through. So some more kills would be useful. Let's start with the enemy Shimakaze. Oh dear, have you just lost your engine? How sad. Too bad. And I believe that's a kill, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, it came right after the team lost their Des Moines to the enemy Tromp, so it's made no difference whatsoever to the scores. Well, it's made a very minor difference to the scores, but it's made no difference to the kills. I'm not sure which team ended up better off from that exchange? I mean, the Shimakaze is very dangerous with its torpedoes, but the Des Moines isn't exactly nothing either. Let's call it a draw for now. Team still holding on to 3 of those 4 cap circles. It's almost like the enemy team don't want to win. I mean, their team can't cover 3 cap circles with 5 ships. Yeah, I know they've got 6, but the carrier doesn't count for the purpose of contesting caps. So the enemy team could basically just pick any one of the caps, rush it, and there wouldn't be an awful lot that Floridian Tyrant's team could do. That would, of course, require use of the communication and teamwork consumables, and a lot of people just forget to load them up before they go into battle. Still, I'm impressed that it's the battleships on the enemy team that are actually taking the initiative and taking the caps, or attempting to take the caps, because the enemy destroyer, the Trump, is in the middle of the open ocean, in the middle of nowhere, miles away from anything, getting into a gunfight with the friendly gearing. Although it's not entirely fair to blame that on the Trump's poor decision making. It's completely possible that he had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with that, and it was down to the gearing rather than the Trump. And, well, it doesn't appear to matter because the gearing is now down. So the Trump's gotten away with it, and the team are now down a further ship, with only 1 remaining destroyer, Floridian Tyrant herself. And at this point, trailing by 3 kills, with the enemy team taking their 2nd cap, regardless of whether or not you are actually within range of those infamous German battleship secondaries, just nursing your remaining almost 7,000 health is really no longer an option. You need to start sinking enemy ships. Golden Lion, I said you need to start sinking enemy ships. Not sinking. Let me finish the sentence. There's now only 4 of them left. She's doing a pretty impressive job of resetting first the Schlieffen and now the Maine's capture progress. But what is even more impressive is this. Note the Schlieffen has just, or more importantly, the Schlieffen's secondaries have just gone behind the island. Now she's backing up and reversing, because the main secondaries are nothing to be afraid of, and its main gun batteries aren't even looking at her. But reversing like this is keeping the Schlieffen's secondaries on the far side of that island for as long as she possibly can, to give her the best possible chance, and successfully so, of continuing to keep that cap circle at Alpha out of the enemy team's hands. So, mission accomplished, and yeah, Schlieffen secondaries are no joke. So, put some distance between herself, get out of spotting range. Yeah, torpedoes, why the hell not? Team did just... shit. Team did just pull back another kill with the Condor getting 1. But then they lost Giga Chad in the carrier, and somebody on the enemy team getting really cocky about it in chat. But now with only 3 of them left, against 7 enemies, it's time to throw caution to the wind, because running and hiding ain't going to win this battle for anybody. Or will it? I mean, another kill would be nice, but you don't want to risk dying as a result. So, I mean, look at the volume of fire coming this way. But, okay, there's 3 of them left alive. They only have a 90-point lead, well, not even a 90-point lead, and none of those torpedoes are going to hit. But they still have 3 of the cap circles, although the enemy team are now starting to contest the cap at Charlie. It's too early to call it with 7 minutes of the battle remaining, or slightly less than 7 minutes. But you do kind of, just to be on the safe side, need to give yourself more points to be safe, and that, at this point, basically involves killing things. So we're going to start with the Schlieffen. Secondaries are no secondaries. This is, of course, very dangerous because German battleship secondaries are no joke. But watch this. Remember the increased chance of setting a fire from the Captain perk that activated earlier? There's the fire. And stop shooting. Undetected. Dead Schlieffen. What you're watching here is somebody who knows exactly how far away they need to be from whatever they're shooting at and when to go undetected. This is crazy good ship knowledge. I think it's fairly safe to say. She's played this ship a few times. They're still technically winning. They've got the points. They've actually increased the points lead. But they've lost 1 cap circle. They're in the process of losing another. And if they want to stop that from happening, somebody's going to have to take on a Jacksonville in a destroyer. And I think we all know who that's going to be. But, suicidal though this is, somebody has to do it, and there ain't nobody else here. So, bend over, grab your ankles, and think of Charles de Gaulle. And I guarantee you, 95% of players under these exact same circumstances would have died because you're in a destroyer, and that's a Jacksonville. But, and again, it's all down to throttle control and just knowing what this ship can and can't do. And she nearly dies. Nearly. But nearly dying is the same as saying not dying. Close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades and thermonuclear weapons. And then the main takes out the enemy Bourgogne, putting them even further ahead on points with cap circle parity. Even though they are still 1 kill behind. I just don't think that main is going to be capable of surviving for much longer. So even though the team are way ahead on points now, like 918 to 585, they're going to lose the main. I feel like it's inevitable. And unfortunately that's put them back down from 930 to 870. But here's the thing, there are slightly less than 4 minutes of this battle left. And they have a more than 200 point lead. And both teams have 2 cap circles. So the rate of points gain is exactly the same. In other words, the difference between the scores isn't going to change unless somebody takes a cap circle or sinks something. Which means that in 3.5 minutes or less, they could reach 1,000 points, I'm pretty sure, in less than 3.5 minutes, as long as nothing else changes. As long as College Dropout in the Conda and Floridian Tyrant here in the Marceau stay alive for less than 3 minutes, because they only have to make up 80 points. Well, 90 points, sorry. Maths is hard. And nobody on the enemy team thinks that it might be a good idea to take an additional cap circle. They've got this game in the bag. So, College Dropout in the Conda is motoring north as fast as he possibly can, while also getting some island cover between himself and anybody who might be pursuing him. And Floridian Tyrant is keeping her distance, but also keeping an eye open to provide College Dropout with any warning of anything that might be pursuing him. Quick word about the Marceau's torpedoes. They're not great, but they're also not terrible. They're perfectly fine. And I've lost track of how many Floridian Tyrant has actually fired during the course of this battle. But not a single one has hit anything. She's launched a lot of torpedoes, and I guess she's just been unlucky, because once again, this is what we call foreshadowing, kids. Oh, and you can see the gearing there in chat saying, "Hi, Jingles," thinking this one's definitely going to find its way into my inbox. And he was right, but not for the reasons he was thinking. Meanwhile, somebody on the enemy team is actually capable of thinking and breathing at the same time, pursuing the Conda and flipping the cap in the process. And if you look at the map, you can see the enemy main is having the same thought. He's heading for the cap circle at Alpha. And while he might not get there in time, the team do only need another 26 points to win. But even if he does get there in time, they're 200 points ahead. There's a minute and a half to go. They're going to win, even with no caps. As long as the enemy team don't sink anything.
Our team depends upon you.
Well, shit. Now, the tables have been turned. Because not only are you outnumbered 4-1, not only are the enemy team catching up on points, and actually probably will now overtake you on points in the minute and 10 seconds that are left, but you are going to be stalled on around about 940, maybe 950 points once that main crosses the border into the cap circle at Alpha, because that'll shut down that source of points coming in, which means now Floridian Tyrant must kill something in order to win. And while raw skill can carry you through a gunfight with a Jacksonville, as long as you have some hit point buffer available to absorb the inevitable hits that you're going to take, that ain't going to work against an Annapolis when you have slightly more than 1,000 hit points. However, despite the fact that she must have launched 40 torpedoes in this game, and hasn't hit with a single one. I guess if you throw enough shit at the wall, eventually some of it's going to stick. It is going to. No! 16 seconds to go. She needs another torpedo hit, or maybe take the shot. Actually, she doesn't need to take the shot, because that second torpedo, with 3 seconds to go, was good enough. The only 2 torpedo hits she scored from, I don't know, 50 launched in the entire game. But they were the ones that counted. I mean, if that second torpedo didn't look like it was going to hit, she would have had to start shooting, and maybe still have been able to secure the kill. But this isn't her first rodeo. I mean, she knew better than I did that that torpedo was going to hit. And indeed it did, with 3 seconds to go. It doesn't get much closer than that. So I hope you all enjoyed watching Floridian Tyrant, and of course her 2 division mates, Giga Chad and College Dropout, turning what looked like a guaranteed loss into a spectacular victory here on the Crash Zone Alpha map. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.